up, people? So today we have another Let It Fly episode for you, and we got an Aussie hip hop artist with us here. I believe coming from Cronulla, is that right? His name is Mugzy.
Yeah, what's going on, man? Thanks for having me. Even though we've had a bit of technical difficulties getting on the show, but we finally did it, man. Yeah. Yeah, born in Cronulla, man, but currently residing in the Central Coast, so a bit of a trip from Sydney and you guys, man.
Alright, dope. Cool. So, just to get started, could you tell us a bit about yourself? How did you get into hip hop and what you're doing now? Maybe a bit of your childhood and the influences on you, I guess.
Yeah, man. So I've been doing hip hop music and being a fan and a part of the culture for since 14, man. And I as a adolescent thing, you're sort of that wild kid, rolling with the wrong crowds and just being wild and crazy, and that sort of dark history of just fighting in my adolescence and kind of thinking the world's against you, but you don't really. There is support there, but you sort of think, all eyes are on you and it's against you and that. So I think hip hop was sort of a form of letting that anger out, but also having that message of telling, my story of in a therapeutic way. Because I always say, man, the 90s and the 2000s, man, there was just such a golden time of that realm of hip hop. Eminem, Jay-Z, Nas, and Rakim and all them, and it was just such a cool aura of that's what I want to do, but as a teen, man, growing up, at first it really was sort of a following Eminem's footsteps, I guess. Being a white boy, but when I started to really branch out, and this was before social media, man, this was MySpace and MSN days, man. That's where I started to find local hip hop groups, which were, we were talking off camera, Mad and Crosswords, and seeing how important this culture means to guys, and I was like, man, I don't want to be looked at as someone that doesn't take it seriously. I want to be really respected in this culture, not just the USA scene, but the Australian scene per se. And I just dropped the whole Australian Slim Shady act and found the Mugzy act, man, and that's it, man. So it just got me out of a bad place, man. And I don't know if you can see my room, man, but it's insane right now.
Oh, really? Yeah. There's chaos in there?
Yeah, it's too many buyers and stuff, man. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Well, what is it? Yeah, that's interesting. Because, I actually wonder that with a lot of white rappers, not trying to be I don't want to sound racist or anything. Yeah, but I'm just being real. With a lot of white rappers in Australia, sometimes I wonder how much of an influence Eminem would have had on a lot of them, because it's just he was kind of the guy to look up to, right? Especially if you're a white rapper looking for white role models or maybe representations of hip hop culture. So it's interesting just hearing that from that influence on you.
100%, and I love that question too, because obviously it's always been a black domain of music and art form, and there is white artists that, including myself, that love it for not the fame or nothing, just love all the elements of hip hop. And then at the same time, man, I've known some guys that are they still pull that whole Malibu's Most Wanted wigger garbage, man. I'm not gonna name drop it, man, but I know a few, and it, in a sense, man, I've always, even though my earlier days I kind of had a bit of that in me before I really found what I loved about it, those guys that stay in that element of it, I just feel man, you're putting a damper on what we're trying to do, because people look at that and be oh, you're doing the Vanilla Ice thing. It's and it's nah, man, I really love this culture, man. Like you can look
Yeah.
at those dudes like that, but like with us, it's not. It means so much more. It's like a life for us, you know. So
Yeah, yeah.
I, yeah, man. So I mean, just like keep those ones out the door, I guess.
Yeah, like I guess like one thing I want to follow up from that is like how have you tried to maybe separate yourself, because you said you were influenced by Eminem and stuff earlier, but how have you tried to separate yourself in what you talk about maybe, or like how you deliver your rhymes and what you do to be like your unique self rather than kind of like a carbon copy, or you're like taking a lot from like someone like Eminem, you know?
Yeah, 100%, man. Like, I think personally, when you start off, obviously, you know, you have your own bubble of artists that you look up to and aspire to be like. So with me, it was the early 2000s. So when we're seeing on camera, like, you know, 50 Cent, Eminem, Jay-Z. And I feel like if you only have those influences, you're not going to be. It's going to be like you're sort of going to mimic those crafts instead of finding your own guidance in the path of hip hop. And with me, over the course of time, I really wanted to step back from that era and learn where it came from. Like, you know, the 70s, the Boogie Down Bronx, the 80s, you know, the glam era, and then how that coincided with over here in Australia, which was, you know, because back in the 80s, man, even though I was born in 91, the 80s, like, still couldn't get over the fact of the Australian accent, you know, so we were rapping on trains, you know, and b-boying and, you know, DJing more than when rapping. Now it's become so, well, we've got like Hilltop Hoods and Cursor and all that now, but back then, man, like we were still living in Crocodile Dundee era, you know, so yeah, so I mean, it was very like frowned upon, I guess, man, but I feel like having that history and learning and loving it, man, it calls you into a more prominent MC compared to just someone rapping for the sake of rapping, man. And it's not in like a corny kind of way, man. It's just like it's just my bread and butter, man. Like I just love it. And it's not just the music, man. It's like everything about it. Like, you know, I'll go into like a Foot Locker, man, and something about it is just hip hop. The sneakers, that's hip hop, man. You play basketball, it's hip hop. It's just everything. It's just my everyday, you know, well-being. Yeah.
No, it's crazy like how much the culture is just being influenced by hip hop, especially. It's just getting bigger and bigger right now. Like,
oh yeah,
like basketball. Yeah, like it's funny that you say like with basketball, because I think like one thing I've always heard about is like a lot of basketball players want to be rappers, and a lot of rappers want to be basketball players, right? Because it's like, it's so connected, right?
Dodgy album. Yeah, Allen Iverson in the early 2000s, man, tried to bring out a hip hop album, and that was just I didn't
even know that.
Yeah, so there was like one song that was dope on it, man, but the rest were just man, frisbee that out the window, you know.
Dude, speaking of NBA rappers, Damian Lillard is a big. That's
crazy, man. Hey, it's funny. It's like we play basketball, man. They want to be rappers, and actors want to be rock stars, man. So it's like a weird kind of, you know. Yeah. I think there's like the thing is like I think that's something that's always in us, right? Like as human beings, like we always want to like try and do more than just like be good at like one thing. I mean, like I'm not saying like everyone, but like I'm saying like a lot of us are like that. Like where if we appreciate something, we wish we could like do it, right? Like I mean, like who doesn't appreciate a slam dunk? Like even if you don't watch basketball, you appreciate a slam dunk. I think if any one of us had a choice, we would want a slam dunk, right? Like. Even because it's cool. Of course, man. Yeah, like dude, was it the Jordan hair pretty much? Like only I could. Yeah.
So, what are some things that you like to talk about during your music? Like I think, like from checking out your music, I definitely saw like you're not scared to talk about mental health and that kind of thing. And I think that's a hella important topic, especially now with the whole COVID situation we've been going through and the change that's brought on many people's lives. So it's interesting to know, like what do you like to talk about?
Yeah, man, I think you nailed it right on the head. It's sort of just like my journey and, dealing with mental health and just how like that has impacted the world, not just with COVID, but just in general. Like there's so much of a percentage of us that just aren't satisfied in our lives. And I feel like music is a great, or any type of art is a great platform to kind of escape from our realities, man. And like that's where I come into with hip hop, man, is I grew up in an era, man, where e speak your truth even if it someone else doesn't agree with it, because like
Mm.
that's how therapeutic, man. And like someone might not agree, it's like, oh, you're kind of a bit on the curb with that, but it's just like, look, man, like I'm just telling it how it is. And I feel like
Yeah.
that's the era. Maybe I'm thinking in an old school way, man, but that's just the era I was brought up on, man, and like,
Mm.
yeah, so I mean, I've never sugarcoated anything, and I feel like don't regret what you say. Just yeah, just live your truth, man. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So what made you want to like speak on like mental health to begin with? Was it like would it be like your childhood experiences, or would it be like maybe some things you went through, um like trying to like make it in this world and stuff and do things like, what do you think like influenced that?
That's a great question, man. And when you say trying to make it in this world, it sounds so simple to say, yet so hard, because like
Mm.
time is everything, and not just COVID. I mean, opportunity is everything, and people are everything. And I feel like there's so many of us that don't have that. Like they don't have a lot of elements in life, like maybe friends or a good job or time and stuff, and that can really make someone suffer in life. And yet, like people wonder why they go jump off a bridge or something, and
Mm.
that's where like time is everything. And um, I just feel like music is it's such a therapeutic thing. Is That's why when you listen to it, it's like, damn, that's really straight to the core. And it's like, yeah, man, it saves me seeing a shrink and popping a pill, just you just write it down, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, paying
yeah.
$100 an hour, come on, man. Yeah.
Dude, so like one thing that actually I got plugged onto this from the homie T-Op. Actually,
Mm.
he should, because I was just asked, because you hit me up like out of nowhere, and I was just like, oh, okay, cool. I want to get to know this dude. And I was like, I saw we had like mutual friends. I hit up T-Op, and he's just like, yeah, man, this guy's been on like the Dave Hughes show, I believe, at ABC. And I was just
Oh
like,
man,
whoa, what?
yeah, I'm
Like I'm
telling
just
you.
interested to know what was that experience like going on.
Oh,
Uh,
damn it, John. If John's watching this, man, he just threw me right under the bus, didn't he? Yeah, he's always got a side to him. Yeah, Husey, man. I mean, man, that was an experience. So I don't know how long we've got, man, but um,
mm,
that was just like it's hard to say, man, because I can't curse on the show, but it's like it was such a downer. Like after that event happened, I think the footage is up on YouTube somewhere. Like when it aired, I didn't even watch it. But
really?
nah, like I didn't like a lot of people, don't know this, but I didn't. I was so I honestly thought it almost screwed up my career.
Wow.
That's how heavy it was to me, because um, I use a site called Star now, and it's got like a lot of entertainment jobs on there, and they were looking for people to come on the show. And in a sense, I kind of walked into an ambush, and I
Mm,
really should have watched the show beforehand. And so it's kind of like my fault in a sense. So, anyways, I was like, look, this could be like a great avenue for to go on the show. I know who David Hughes is. I know who the panel is. Maybe it could like get my voice out a bit more. And I go down there, and the producer was like, "You're gonna sort of do a mockery rap battle kind of thing with Matt O'Kine, who runs Triple J." And I said, "Yeah, that's cool." So I'm sitting on the table next to Husey, and he's like, "All right, tell your story." So I'm like telling my story, and then all of a sudden, I'm hearing the crowd laugh, and I'm just like, "What's so funny?" You know? And
Yeah.
he's like taking the piss out of me. He's like pulling a face and stuff, and I'm like, "Okay, that's a bit strange." So we do the rap battle kind of skit, and how it originally was he went first, and then I went last. But then when they aired it, um, like they switched the frame, and I went first, and he went last, and then it like cut to the commercial. But the line that I was going to use, if you've seen the footage, is did I destroy your credibility? Maybe because I'm raw and mysterious like Eddie Murphy, and that's the because he was a big influencer of Eddie Murphy,
It's a
and
hell of a line, by the way.
and so Husey was like, try and do a rap about my logie, but also, and I'll see who can be the better rapper. So Matt O'Kine did this whole 1 minute of, I think Husey won the logie that year, and I was like, why don't I rap about that, but also flip it and come on the attack at Matt and make him go like, what the hell? But when that Eddie Murphy line came up, I had this thought in my brain of, not only is Sydney watching this is a national Australian show, and I went cold turkey. I literally had the 8 Mile moment at the first of the movie, where he just
Yeah, now I remember that. Like in the show,
yeah,
you kind of like have like that kind of like pause there, and then you
yeah,
have to like restart. Yeah.
yeah.
Now I
So
remember it. Yeah.
like I literally, like, my mind just went boom, just like, where was my line? And that's when I just went, I lost my line. And so anyways, after we went off stage, I was just thinking, I think it's channel 10 or channel 7, but I was like, please don't air that, you know. And then, you know, they got to do all the editing and stuff, and a few months later it came out, and the promos for it, and coming next at 7:30 Husey, you know, and it showed it and stuff, and I was like, damn, okay, didn't watch it. Go on my Facebook, go on my Instagram, and it was just non-stop. Like, it was just non-stop hate messages and negativity, and you know, but like, it wasn't just like, oh man, that was right. It was the most heinous things of like, you shouldn't have been born, you're a disgrace to hip-hop, you know, you like, just like this whole just insane, and you refresh it, starts with like 50, refresh it again, it's like 300, refresh, and it's just on and on and on and on. And
wow, how many messages do you think you got in that time? Sorry.
When he posted up on his page, man, it was probably maybe 600 to 1,000, man, because it just like, you would hit the refresh button and it would just escalate, you know. And I was just like, not only I'm feeling that I've just screwed up, but Australia feels this. And after that, man, I just hit heavily into the drinking, man, and the drugs. And it was a real rough time, man. And what was crazy was, after I came out of it, Channel 10 hit me up, and they're like, how was your publicity for being on Husey? And I was like, well, I was in a hospital bed for a few months and stuff, so I mean, that was cool, like that. And they just couldn't give a damn. So I can't say man, but it was pretty shady, man. Yeah, so David Hughes is watching this, man, you're a dick, man, period.
Oh, wow, man. No, it's just like, yeah, that's crazy. Like, see, like, those are the things you don't see, like, unless you're talking to the person, you know what I mean? Like, I never would have imagined that. I'll be honest, when I watched it, I was like, yeah, maybe he probably copped something because he lost his life. Like, he probably did. Like, I was just like, I didn't think it would be like that crazy, right? I thought it might just be a few comments, like, not like 600 to 1,000 messages personally to you, putting me down. So it's like, that's crazy in itself. And like, yeah, I mean, like, going on a comedy show, rapping.
Yeah, man. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
crazy.
It's a two-way street. It's like, one, you know, like, looking back on it, I think, man, I really should have watched an episode before I was walking into But at the same time, after it was over, man, it was just the most heinous thing. And looking back on it, man, I mean, it's a learning curve. I'm still here today, and
Mm.
yeah, like I said, man, like on your show, I like my friends always try and take the piss out of me and have a laugh. They're like, "Hey, watch it," and I'm just like, and they like send me a link, and I'm like, I don't even touch it, man. Yeah, like
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
I can't even watch it, man. Yeah, I don't even think it's on my YouTube, to be honest. Yeah, so it's
Wow.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, like honestly, I brought it up because more to like actually, um, like because to give you a bit of a spotlight. I didn't realize I was gonna be like this whole thing, but like, no,
No, it's cool, man. Yeah.
it's cool. Like, yeah, I mean, like it's good to get like the other perspective. Like, it's good to actually get this perspective, but at the same time, like I'm happy I brought it up. But like, this is
Mm,
crazy. This is
mm,
crazy, man. Like, and it makes me think like how you have to be so careful, right? Like even today I was watching this guy called Ruslan. He does like breakdown videos and stuff on social commentary and all of this stuff. And he's a rapper as well. And he was just breaking down the industry a bit, man, today. And
mm.
it's crazy. Like with record labels, you have to be really careful, man. You sign to the wrong record label, you don't look at the contract properly, you're gonna be enslaved. Like like
Oh,
these,
dude, I
yeah.
know all about that, man. Like, I had a big dispute. I was like naive. Like, I think it comes down to being naive, man. You know, because you look at your heroes and you see how it looks so simple living that life, but at the same time, you don't realize the tricks and the trades to get to that life, you know, and like knowing how much royalties they take out and stuff. And around 2013, I think 2013 or 11, I had like a distribution thing with a company called Blue Pie Records, and like, you know, signed some distribution thing. And then a few years later, some of my friends were like, "Hey, we're doing like short documentaries and all this kind of thing. Can we use your music?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So I sent it up to them because they weren't getting royalties for it. And next minute they messaged me and saying, "Hey, this is not owned by you. This is owned by, copyrighted by Blue Pie." And I was like, "Wait, no, hold on for a sec. No, it's not." And they're like, "Yeah." And like in the fine print, I had to go through like a whole legal battle with them and say like, you know, this whole thing to get my music back, man. And it was just insane. You know, just being a naive, like, I don't know how old I was in 2013, man, but I'm not good with maths, but it was just like this whole thing of just like, when you see that someone else owns your craft and you don't read the fine print, it scares the living daylights out of you, man. You know, because
Yeah.
it's like, I worked so hard for this, and next minute, like, you own this. So contracts, man, scare the absolute hell out of me, man. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to get a good lawyer. You have to get yourself a good lawyer, man. Like that's all I'm gonna say. Like if you're gonna
Oh,
with these
yeah.
contract things, you gotta get yourself a good lawyer. You can't be mucking around. Because, dude, it's crazy. Like dude, like you could like make like 500. Like this is like something that I saw, right? Like in a breakdown, like they gave like an example of like you could make like something like $5 million, and then
Mm,
once the record label takes their part, then they get marketing involved, video involved, recording involved, all of this stuff.
yeah.
You're in the minors, like you know what I mean? Like they give you like an initial payment, and then like afterwards you're in the minors every time you make an album, basically. Like unless you're selling some ridiculous amount of records, like millions or something. Like so, dude, it's actually like. Yeah, you gotta be careful as an artist. And then I think like it's a good lesson for one you talked about even with the music, and it's a good lesson for us outside of just music, right? Like where it's just like analyze what you're getting into and don't just like fall for like the reach that it could have or maybe how popular the thing is, because it may not be suitable for who you are and where you're trying to go.
Mm,
Because one thing I would say is like when I heard your lyrics, right, on the Husey thing, I was like, this guy is like an actual dope like lyricist. He's not just like an actual like lover of hip hop. He's not just like trying to spaz on this guy like in a freestyle battle. He's actually like a thinker, right? Like I could see
mm,
that like, already. So I was just like, when I saw that, I was like, it's interesting that he chose to be on this show. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's what I was thinking in my mind. It was almost like, because I'm like, I don't know if this suits him because it's like a comedy kind of thing, and it's like taking a dig at each other. I'm like, I don't think he's the type of guy that's trying to take digs at people. He's more like an actual like lyricist, you know. So like, yeah, like
It's
I
funny.
mean, like not to put you down, man, because I've made my mistakes too, right? Like you're not the
It's
first one to
funny,
make a
man, because
mistake.
when you said that, that's the exact same thing that my friend Angie said, and she's probably watching this, and
Mm.
like we, because we like after it aired and all that, we went out to lunch, and she's like, "What were you thinking?" Like, 'cause she loves taking the piss out of me. She's like, "What were you thinking going on that show?" And I was like, "Hey, like, guilty as charged, but it's like, yeah, I mean, but she thought, yeah, it was pretty like scummy what they did, but it was my fault too. But yeah, I don't mind talking about it, man. It's just like,
Mm.
like I just love laughing at myself in a context.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's cool. Like I think like that's I always say in crosswords. So crosswords, just to give some context, is like kind of like a Christian hip hop community that we have on here. Man, I don't think we should, but anyways, doesn't matter. But like yeah, it's like a Christian hip hop community that we have like in yeah, just around the world actually. Yeah. And, yeah, like one thing that's like kind of like an unwritten rule, I would say, is like being able to laugh at yourself. Like we try not to take ourselves too seriously, you know what I mean? Because like yeah, like I think that's just important. Like otherwise if you do that, like you're gonna get hurt. Like you know what I mean? Because there's gonna be times. There's gonna be times where things don't work out the way you expect. So.
100%, man. Like I saw, Mystery, Matt on Lee Monroe's podcast the other night, Godzilla podcast.
Godzilla.
And he was taking the piss out of himself all through that thing and having a laugh. And what did he say? He said, someone called him like Kid Rock, or thought he was Kid Rock because he's growing his hair out, or something like that. And I cracked myself laughing, man, because I just thought, man, that's what I like. I just love seeing people loving to take the piss, and that, they can just slap hands and have a good time. So yeah, hopefully you guys at Crosswords are doing good as well, man. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, I think we're doing well, man, and I'm super thankful to be part of Crosswords, like for real. Another question one thing I want to ask out of all this is, how did you get back up on your feet after the whole thing? Because like you said, you went through maybe like alcoholism, alcohol and all of that, like struggling with alcohol, drugs, all of that, right? So it's like, how did you pick yourself back up after that hospital bed scenario?
Yeah, man. So it's kind of a two-way street because one, it's like we're talking about sort of having a good time and laughing about ourselves and stuff, but it's like I can do that with people and take the piss back, but when it's sort of like all of Australia, like I wouldn't say all of Australia, but you kind of feel that way of all of Australia, like being like, you screwed up, they can see you've screwed up, so they must be right. And that's where the comments came in. I was like, well, yeah, like I've just screwed up everything I worked hard for, and so that abuse on my body, I think what got me out of it was, even how harsh it sounds, knowing how selfish I was to do that to myself, and seeing my dad cry, knowing that he could have lost a son, of just the stupidity of what society thought of me, and I let them gain that over me. That's kind of what like woke me up, of realizing that family is everything, and it shouldn't matter like what other people really think of you, and I let them get the better value of me. So it was really like seeing that truth in the doctors saying to my dad, if he didn't get here a day later or a night later, he would have been gone. And
wow.
yeah, because like it was, I can't talk in medical terms, man, but it was basically like my whole body was like shutting down, and just like my dad was like, oh, sorry, man, I just dropped the F-bomb by mistake.
No,
No,
that's
yeah,
good.
yeah,
Yes.
he was just like, like, damn, I could have lost the son and stuff, and he was just like, it's sort of like, I can see my son fighting for this dream, um, but at the same time, it's like he knows he's screwed up, and it was just a weird thing, man. Like, of just knowing family is everything, and I'm rambling a bit too much, man. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, no, no,
yeah.
no. That's cool. Like that's actually really interesting. Yeah, like because yeah, family is like really important. Actually, you're right, and like I think like honestly, like one quote that I think about with this is Lecrae. Have you heard of Lecrae?
Nah, nah.
Yeah, so Lecrae is like really getting up there. He's probably like the biggest Christian hip hop artist in the world, right? And then
Mm.
like well actually he is basically. Other than if you want to call Kanye West Christian hip hop artist, then I guess he's number one. But
I think that's a
yeah, yeah,
publicist stunt, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But Lecrae says if we live by their acceptance, to die from their rejection, right? So like
Mm.
when I think of yeah, when I think of that, like that's a really scary thing that's easy to happen. And I think like you wouldn't be the only one that would have taken the opportunity, man. Like I feel like honestly, like most rappers would. Like who's to say I wouldn't actually, like, you know what I mean? Like be
Mm.
getting in front of like national TV to perform, like the thing that I would say right now, hopefully, would be like I've discovered that like that's not where my value is, right? Like, and I'm a
Mm.
Christian, I guess, so like I try to find my value in God, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like that's the main thing, like just knowing that like I'm created by God and I'm like really valuable because of that,
Mm.
right? So like yeah, but like I think it's a very real thing though, like where we gotta like just be careful because like you have like the same thing. See, like it's all cool for the guys with their Instagram models and stuff because they're like the ones that are like I guess getting their fix out of it, right? But like I think
Mm.
about like if that's your sister or your daughter, like even with like that whole thing, it's like they're kind of like living for other people's acceptance, right? But like maybe they're
Exactly. Yeah.
exposing themselves in a way that they wouldn't normally,
Mm.
not for this attention they get from Instagram. Like how many girls would maybe show themselves the way they do if they didn't have a way of getting attention the way they can, right? Like with social media
Mm.
and stuff. So like yeah, like I think it's just something that like we can like learn to live with our lives. It's just try and have as much integrity as you can with the decisions you make without letting others or the popularity or clout affect
Mm.
our decisions, and just like come from like a real place. So like if
Mm.
something is like outside of who you really are and you're trying to do it for clout or acceptance, like that's like a red flag, you know what I mean?
100%, man. That's a powerful thing that you said, man, because I feel like, because social media can be a good thing and a bad thing. It's good to promote yourself if you're an artist and get it out there, but at the same time, I feel like it has segregated a lot of society. Like, I mean, watch what you say, or you can't like have a flowing conversation like, what we're doing, because people get, offended, or like they're just trying to seek value from others. And if I don't have that thing or that lifestyle or that girl or guy or job,
Mm,
it's my life is meaningless. And I feel like two things: one is you need to find what you love in life. With me, it's hip hop. Or two, you need to have that life-changing experience to kind of wake you up. And me,
mm,
like after the Husey thing and seeing my dad, that was the life-changing thing of like, how selfish am I to go down that path. So it's like now it's just more, just free flowing and laugh at yourself. Those are the two things I think that society need to wake up and see, man. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So with that said, like, what are you doing right now? Like, after that, are you starting to work on music again, or are you like venturing in other things? Like, how are you kind of approaching things after the whole situation you went through?
It was crazy, man, because after that happened, I was dabbling with music, just writing stuff. But Sydney Film School over at Waterloo, they randomly stumbled across my page, and they did like a documentary on me called Walk Like Them, and they came up to the coast and filmed for like 4 or 5 days, and they filmed that, interviewed Evan, filmed me, my family and stuff, and they submitted it to the film festivals, and I think we got nominated like in 3 countries or something. But yeah, like it was kind of weird because I'm such a chill dude, man, and when the director Faraz hit me up, he's like, look, he sent me this whole, it was like a list, man, of just like, look, we want to do a doco on you, blah blah blah. And I was cool with it, man. I wasn't jumping on my high horse like TMZ. I was like, yeah, man, just come up and chill on my couch. So yeah,
So
like
so was it as crazy as the mess right now in your room, or a little different?
no, it was probably the same, man. Yeah, like he like looked at the DVDs and stuff, man.
Yeah, that's insane. How many DVDs? That's crazy.
Too many, man. Yeah, it's way too many. So that's for all the viewers, man. Yeah, they're all hip hop documentaries and TV shows, and I gotta get Netflix, man. But yeah, they're from City Film School, man. They were just like, dude, have you watched all them? And I'm like, maybe like 5% of them, I guess. Yeah. So
that's cool, man.
Yeah.
So like does that mean like what does that mean for your future now? Like, what are you looking to do now after that whole experience with the film school and getting interviewed and all of that?
Man, honestly, I still love doing music. I do a bit of acting as well. I do 2 of the avenues. So I do music and I do acting. So like sets and productions have closed down. Because of the COVID and coronavirus. So I've just been doing voice acting, man. Doing little characters and and all that kind of stuff. So I use a site called Discord, and I'm on a.
Oh yeah, Discord. I've heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm on a voice acting community group, and they just post up jobs looking for characters and people, and if anyone wants to jump on, add me on there, and I'll add you to the group if you're looking to expand your catalog, man. So I've just been flooding it.
Is there details you can maybe, like, is there like some way people can follow you up after this for that?
100%. Yeah. So like, if you find my page, Mugzy, Mugzy, message me, or no, my recent post on my page has all the details on there. So either message
that's on
me,
Facebook, right?
Yeah, message me, or see the post and add me, and then I'll invite you to the group, and then you can just start applying, and majority get back to you. Like, I think I did about 20 or 30 of them today. So I was just like recording it, and you don't need the best equipment either, man. You can use your phone or use a camera, man, and just send it away, man, and then they post it up on their projects and stuff. So yeah,
like EQing as well. Don't forget EQing. That thing can do magic. They can have the worst recording ever. They put some EQing on it. It sounds like it was done in the studio. You know what I mean?
Exactly, man. Yeah. So, I mean, if there's any aspiring actors or voice actors, man, go all for it, man. Like, save your sleep in COVID. You got some work to do. Yeah. Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, actually, like with the voice acting thing, it's interesting because I think there is there's like it can cross with hip hop. You know what I mean? Like in the sense of like you're a rapper. Like obviously you want to rap with like as much as your own voice as possible. Like you don't want to just sound like a completely different person. But I guess you can do that too. Like I've seen people do that and it works for them, right? Like as well. But like I think the cool thing with like hip hop is it is kind of like voice acting too, because you need to be able to put on different voices, maybe for ad libs, the way you back up things, maybe even like for different tracks you change up your voice completely. So I think there is actually like a lot of rappers could potentially get into voice acting for sure. Like,
yeah, 100%, man. And like, I mean, it depends like how much of your love for movies or stuff you watch, because like my whole thing was like movies, man. And I've got two brothers, and when we'd have drinks and stuff, they'd always be like, do a character or do like a voice, and it's like I could just naturally, just be a doofus, man. And I think it's
Like
coming
Homer?
in. Huh?
Can you do Homer?
No, I can't do Homer, man. I still gotta watch a bit of The Simpsons to get tap into that. Yeah.
What's up? Is there anything you could do right now?
No, man, I can't shame myself like that. Yeah.
Yeah, not another Husey moment.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Just
Protect
check out
yourself,
the
man.
page, yeah, just check out the page and it'll all be there, man. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, alright, cool, man. So I think we're probably gonna wrap up now, but
Awesome, brother.
so if people want to follow you, they can just go on Facebook and just search Mugzy and they'll find you, right?
100%, man. Yeah. So like everything that I do, saves you searching it all individually, like YouTube and Instagram. It's all in the one platform, man. So if you go to Facebook, just type in Mugzy, Mugzy, it'll come up, man, and it's got everything on there, man. And it's just nice and simple as a quick like. Yeah.
Cool. Alright, so one quote that we're going to end on today, because I think we talked a lot about acceptance and stuff. Once again, guys, remember this: we live by the acceptance, we die by the rejection. So don't live for people's acceptance, be yourself, and make your decisions with integrity. Don't worry about what people have to say, just like. But the key thing with that is doesn't mean there isn't any constructive criticism, but like when it's just pure hate, like just don't listen to that. And the main thing is like, before you get onto those stages, like make sure, like before you're trying to like get yourself out there, make sure you know who you are. You know what I mean?
100%, man.
So yeah,
Dude,
is there any last words you have?
Man, honestly, I just want to, thank you, man, and hopefully, probably it's going to be cancelled because of COVID, man, but hopefully next year at UPROCK, man, like I see in the flesh or a Crosswords or a Mad thing, or if man, bro, like does one of these open mics at the Asian Court Hotel, man, in Central there, just hopefully slap hands in the flesh, man. Wash your hands first, man. Honestly, no,
sanitize after.
Man.
We'll slap hands and bring the sanitizer with us, so we're ready.
Exactly, man.
Alright, cool, man. Thank you so much for coming on, and take care, man. And all the best with what you're doing, and yeah, keep grinding, man.
Yeah, you too, man. Take it easy.